Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Live streaming on the Sportsnet YouTube channel. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Derek Brandeo, Jennifer Rolnick, Sammy McKee. Show number 141.
Whew, getting towards the end of it here.
Just two more games. Two more games, and we'll see tonight if the Leafs can clinch home ice advantage with a win or an overtime loss over the Detroit Red Wings. As we close out yet again the longest regular season in NHL history.
You ran a literal marathon, did you not?
I ran the New York Marathon.
Yeah. Is there a similar feeling from miles like 20 to 26 that there has been for the past few weeks here?
Yes, there is.
Just keep moving forward.
Yes, keep moving forward. And I'll never forget as I'm like dragging my tongue the last few miles and I look over and there's a guy in a Batman suit dribbling two basketballs passing me. And I'm like, if I had the strength right now, I would hoof your basketball right into Central Park because you're pissing me off.
What was the longest you had run in the training to do the marathon?
2 miles.
No.
Philadelphia Flyer training camp.
So, like, you didn't train?
Oh, no, I trained. But, I mean, prior to that, prior to training for the New York Marathon, I had never ran much more than 2 miles.
So what did you get up to, though, before 26-2? Did you do 15 miles one day, 20?
I did 18.
18?
18 was the most.
Did you know you'd be able to complete it, though?
No.
Yeah.
I did not know. And it was hell.
Yeah.
Running in general is the bottom exercise.
Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance.
It's the purest, though.
People love it. And like people, they're like obsessed with, like, oh, you get that runner brain or whatever. You get into a fog. It sucks. Terrible. It's terrible.
Running sucks.
It's not meant. It's not meant for 205-pound men.
No, you and I are not built nimbly like the best runners in the world.
It's supposed to be for people that could tread water in a test tube, you know?
You know what? When I was in Alaska, we had a great track team, and they had a couple guys from Kenya, where great place to train, that were on the team, and they would have the treadmills, because you're inside in Alaska in the winter, the treadmills just humming, and we would go into the gym, start our workouts, work out for an hour, and the whole time these guys never broke stride, never sweat. Just it's not our build, bud.
All right, later on in the show, we got Luke Fox. He's going to help us tee up any news, vibe, buzz coming out of practice today. Luke will let us know. Jesse Granger, Golden Knights coverage for the NHL Network and The Athletic. He's going to help us tee up the do-or-die game for Vegas against Dallas. And then someone that we've been trying to get on the show for the last little while, Sammy, pulls off Keith Tkachuk, former NHL player, 1,200 games.
Finally wore him down.
And the richest father in NHL history now.
Do parents get a portion of contracts?
What did Keith made? I would imagine, Sammy, you're great at figuring it all out within like Google, but I gotta think like 70 mil large.
We'll have
easy.
Sammy on that. Yeah.
I'm looking right now.
And now he's got two boys who are making collectively
estimated career earnings 81 schmil.
81 schmil.
Yeah.
And when it's all said and done, let's add another 200 mil for his boys. That's a good NHL been very, very good to you.
I heard they're going to buy Twitter, the family next.
Oh, that's awesome.
He can almost pull that off.
How about the Raptors, boys?
Ooh. How about the Raptors? You know what? I want to get into that maybe just a little bit. Why don't we just do the cleanup here?
Okay.
On what Sheldon Keefe has been saying coming out of practice today. The lineup, we see a few changes.
Yeah.
And then I want to get into a little bit of the parallels between the Toronto Raptors and maybe the Leafs a little bit.
Okay.
Just in terms of managing expectations and truly where the pressure points lie, JB.
Yeah. It's a different vibe for sure.
Okay. Why don't we start first Why don't we start
Wanna look at
first
the lineup?
on just sharing the lineup?
Yeah. So some things are obviously different. Should I just go through it here?
Yeah, please do.
So Kerfoot joins the top line. So Matthews and Marner get Kerfoot on the left side. I don't know that we've seen him there at all this season. It's an interesting change up. Nick Robertson is back with the Toronto Maple Leafs on the second line with Tavares and Mikheyev. Nylander, Kempf, Engvall as a third line. And then Abruzzese, Blackwell, Spezza.
Abruzzese.
You know, I actually
Is
heard
it
Gordon Miller
AZ?
say Abruzzese the other day
Oh
or
my
something. And I was
God.
like, what? I know.
We're so close to the playoffs, and now you're throwing me a curveball on
Let's just stick with
pronunciation.
Abruzzese. All right. And then Riley Lyubushkin. Muzzin is back and paired with Brody, Giordano, Liljegren. So no Justin Hall, Muzzin in.
So no Clifford and Simmons.
No Clifford, no Simmons, no Bunting, no Kasha, no Sandin.
Nick Robertson. You want to put him in a position to succeed. That's why you put him in a top six.
Yeah. But I've seen Robertson alongside John Tavares, and it does not work for me. Robertson now, he's apparently, he could be a different looking player. He's been tearing it up in the American League. He has, I think, 18 points in his last 15 AHL games, playing very well by all accounts. A young guy, possibly he's taking a stride, a little bit more ready this time around. Who knows?
As we inch closer to game one of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we're undecided, Sammy, whether that's going to be Monday or Tuesday, but what's the feeling? Monday?
Sources are indicating that it could be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Right out of the gates.
So that's if they clinch home ice, and sources are indicating it could potentially be Tuesday if they don't clinch home ice.
Oh,
So
thank
they
you
go
to your
Tuesday,
sources.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday.
All right, if we go to some Kippers Clippers here, do we have Sheldon Keefe on injuries or specifically clips?
We have
General?
bevy of clips. What do you want?
I want an update on injured Leafs.
We got one on Sandin. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Rasmus is a lot closer. I think we'll see Rasmus. He's got some appointments today to get through, and if that goes well, I think you'll see him join our team for practice, and then we'll take it from there. He hasn't had a full team practice yet. He's joined a couple of these morning skates and such, but we haven't practiced for quite a while now, so we'll look to get him in a practice and then take it from there for him.
All right, so Rasmus going to play on Friday.
Which is great news because you may have to call upon him. I don't think he'll be in the lineup for game one.
No,
But-
crazy because at times this year it was like this guy looked like their best defenseman, and he's not going to be in. But presumably he's not.
Now, we do believe that Bunting will not be available for the next two games.
Yeah, have we heard anything on him?
Kasha remains day to day.
Good progress on Bunting. Kasha day to day, no really timetable for him.
Yes, and I think it was feared worse.
Mm-hmm.
And then a day later, I think the swelling went down on a knee,
Okay.
and it's not as bad.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that there is a possibility that everybody could be cleared and ready for game one.
Yeesh. It's a lot of first games back, right?
Everybody as in Bunting, Kasha,
Yes,
Sandin.
available,
Okay.
cleared medically and available.
Yeah.
We don't know who he's going to decide on.
Well, the first thing that has to happen is the cleared.
And
so
there could be a precautionary, let's leave Bunting out for game one,
Mhm.
but I don't believe that's the case. It is heading towards, if you want him, he should be available.
6 or 7 days from now, Bunting could play in a hockey game. Well, that would be great. I mean, you see how quickly the depth falls off for this team up front. I mean, tonight you have Abruzzese and Robertson are in the lineup because you're missing Bunting and Kasha. Those are significant changes to me in terms of the quality of player. So, okay, good news though. Having people available is good. That's what you want. If you get on a roll, they'll get some experience.
So Sheldon today, he has been a very honest guy, right? And sometimes it's got
You
himself
see him
into
fighting
trouble.
it, yeah.
I was kind of surprised to hear him. And again, this is all led. Sheldon's just answering questions today.
Yeah.
But most of them were not on tonight's game or Friday's game, but an overall feel of going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have that one, Derek? Let's listen to Sheldon Keefe talking about
coaching in the playoffs.
Coaching in the playoffs.
Well, first you say take the fans out of it, which is interesting because I've never coached a playoff game with fans in the building. You know, say I'm talking about the NHL. You know, save for we had some that night in Montreal, I guess a few thousand or whatever it was, but I mean the competition is that much harder, of course, at this level, but the emotions and the swings in a series and all those things, the preparation. There's a lot of similarities.
It's funny.
You forget, eh?
Yeah, but the way he said that night in Montreal was so telling to me. And that is just burned into his brain. That night in Montreal.
It wasn't like he needed to specify which one.
Game 6, Montreal. Dermott, spin and move, Kotkaniemi, top corner. But it's just hilarious to hear that night in Montreal. It's almost like a song.
Save for we had some that night in Montreal, I guess.
I know this is the leading the witness to the question. I would have avoided the whole conversation if I was Sheldon. I'm
just mentioning that you haven't done that before.
We got 2 games to go here. I'm not talking about the playoffs just yet. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who he is. He shoots from the hip, and I think he got burned on a couple of occasions. But overall, we know what he's meant to Kyper's Clippers. I mean, he's led the show every day for the whole season.
You know, there is an honesty to Sheldon. Like he containing that emotion when it comes for him is hard. And like in the high energy, high emotion games, he can be high energy and emotional. And I am curious to see, in a packed barn with huge stakes, do we see the more red-faced, intense version, or is he able to be the one who's like, we got this, right? You want to see him composed.
Is 2 empty building playoff scenarios enough now to draw
experience from
into going back to what we've traditionally known as a hostile environment?
No, Columbus and the bubble and Toronto, Montreal, with 500 fans in Toronto.
Yeah, it was, I think, a couple thousand in Montreal that night. Yeah. But it's not a full Bell Center on a Saturday night or whatever. But yeah,
no, different vibe. Those were tough days.
All right, we'll come back to that one. Let's do some more cleanup here on today's press conference. Matthews, is it 5 games without scoring a goal?
Correct.
What a loser.
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, sorry.
Worst time.
This guy's awful.
Sammy, are you going to be crushed if he doesn't hit 60?
Okay. I will be upset that he doesn't hit 60 because it's a big milestone. But I will also be very crushed if he doesn't hit 60 because it means he didn't score in 7 straight games heading into the playoffs. That would be the more concerning side of it for me. This is a guy that...
I don't know, if you're going to have a poorly timed, just random drought, take it now, right?
Well, I guess there's that side of it, but there's also the side of it that, the Leafs, their best player hasn't scored in 5 games, doesn't look like he's 100%, and the team that they're playing in the playoffs is shooting 8 goals in the net every night.
Hasn't played in 2 weeks.
Their goaltending looks great. Like, it's just... Playoffs are weird and stuff always flips, but the way things are trending at this very moment aren't the most encouraging thing. But I think for everybody's sake, for everybody's sort of mental well-being heading into the playoffs, I think you need to see Matthew shoot a couple in the net over these next 2 and just kind of get that mojo going. Get Scotiabank Arena rocking again. Get them cheering for 60. Like, you need that mojo heading into the playoffs. And you're playing the crappy Red Wings with nothing to play tonight. And Dalkovich going, I think. I got a feeling it's got to happen tonight, no?
All right, let's see if Sheldon feels the same way as you do.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that's used to scoring, and I don't know, it feels good when you're scoring. I look back on the Florida game, his first game back, and look at some of those chances that he had, and that's what I look at. I don't know how many shots he's put on the net since he's come back here, but it seems significant. So it's a matter of time. So I imagine he'll be going tonight, and we'll hope that one falls for him. But as long as his legs are moving and he's working on both sides of the puck and he's generating chances, I think that's all that he's looking for. And he has enough confidence in himself that, goals will come, as we've seen.
That's a weird Sheldon Keefe thing, by the way. He refers to pucks going in as falling. Isn't that a basketball thing?
Yeah, it's because he talks to his boy Nick Nurse all the time.
I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really
get one to fall.
I want to drop.
You know,
I like get one to fall.
yeah.
I like those cross-sport things.
All right.
I am one of those guys that watched him in the last few games, and I mean, he got huge accolades off of our broadcast team on the weekend, but I saw a little rust. I saw a timing issue, and maybe it was just his most recent injury and being maybe conscientious of it, but whatever the case is, it wasn't really Austin we've seen all season long. I'm with Sheldon. I think with 60 on the horizon and a Mitch Marner who's also very conscientious of a century mark that few in Leaf history have been able to reach, I think it's just icing on the cake right now that they'll put the cherry on top in 2 games.
And he loves to tell the guys, just no rules for you guys tonight. Go get 100 points. Go get your 60 goals. Don't even worry about defense.
They
Playoffs,
are, though. They're there.
You think they're doing that?
No, I just think that right now that their game is to the point where Sheldon just, like most coaches with their superstars, you're at the mercy of your superstars.
Just do your thing.
They now get to kind of write their own rules, and if they bend the rules or if the rules come back and bite them in the ass, it's okay because we're not going anywhere without you anyways.
Right.
So
no, you're right.
They're there.
Yeah.
All the greats have had it. Messier, Gretzky, Lemieux, all of those, and now it's Marner and Matthews' team. No question about it.
So maybe this is a good transition to ask you about pressure and how much pressure. We still have more clips. Do you want to talk about the pressure thing?
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk pressure.
Oh, no, okay. Before we do that, because I think this clip will lead into that,
all right.
And that is Sheldon Keefe on how he's changed as a coach.
Well, I think with every experience you get better. I think I know my team and my players that much better. Going through every experience that you go through allows you to change course, alter course, but also push buttons and push in certain ways. And players understand why you're doing it because of what you've been through and know what you're focused on. So I think those are the biggest things.
Is everybody feeling the same growth as Sheldon?
Ask me in 2 weeks.
It's so funny. The playoffs are such a small sample, but we'll take such huge takeaways from them.
Yeah, you have this massive regular season sample size of the last 2 years where they've been really, really good. And then you look at the 7 games last year, and you're going to look at these 4 games or 5 games or 6 games or 7 games coming up here.
If it's 4, it's probably trouble.
Yeah. But if you're looking at these coming up, it's just like you're obviously going to draw all your takeaways from that.
Okay, so earlier on in the show, we talked a little bit of Raptors. Is there parallels here in terms of the expectations or what would have been the vibe if, in fact, Shaquille O'Neal was correct and the Raptors were to be swept?
Mm-hmm.
And where are we now on the Raptors? And is it going to be similar to the Toronto Maple Leafs? Nobody expects the Leafs to be swept by Tampa, but would Leaf Nation feel a lot better if they lost in 6 or 7?
I don't know. I just feel, the vibe right now for me on the Toronto Raptors is such a vibe of positivity, and they're down 3-2 in a playoff series. I just
the Sixers are the Leafs in this scenario.
Right. The pressure is on them.
The Leafs are the Sixers in this scenario, and last year the Habs are the Toronto Raptors in this scenario. With a team that's a plucky, sort of hardworking team with less talent, but maybe a little more heart.
Are the Raptors the Boston Bruins?
No, I don't know. Now you're breaking my brain. But I'm just thinking about last year.
Yeah.
The Leafs and the Sixers parallel is much better than the Leafs and Raptors parallel because Leafs are a really talented top team. Raptors were too, but they weren't as high in the standings. I think the pressure side of it comes from I don't think there's any team that has as much pressure to win the Stanley Cup as the Leafs do to win one round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's...
Can you dispute that?
No, it's totally fair. And I do feel like, they haven't played a game yet. And it's squeaky bums all over town for the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's not excitement the same way there is the Raptors down 3-2. People are like, God, we're bumping fists coming out of studio at the Raptor show. Like,
we're also talking about a team that should be done right now and went into Philadelphia without Freddie, who's arguably their heart and soul.
Yep.
And they still found a way to kick their ass and bring it home.
Yep.
Like, what would the equivalent be for the Leafs? They lost Freddie. Who do you lose? Marner? If you lost Marner, would anybody expect you to still beat the Tampa Bay Lightning?
But if let's say they fall down 3-0 to Tampa, this happens. They go in without Marner and they win Game 5 in Tampa, and they're coming back to Toronto down 3-2.
Yeah,
it's still like this.
Oh no, 100%.
There's still Fear City.
That's the problem with this, with what's happened in the last however many years where they've lost in the first round. I am, diehard Leaf fan. I have so many people in my life, and Bourne nailed it. No one's really excited. It's like I am pure dread for next week.
It's like just a march.
It's a march towards an anxiety-filled week.
It is, because you've watched a team make strides. There's growth in everybody in the lineup. And not only just with your superstars, where Matthews and Marner have taken it to another level, but how about the growth that you've seen out of Mikheyev and Engvall? And you're sitting there going, like, why aren't we facing like a 14th or 15th seeded team? Why do we get the Stanley Cup champions who look like...
That is a big part of it.
That's a huge part of it.
You're right. If they were playing whoever, Washington,
this
they'd feel better.
About how you feel about the Leafs, Sammy. This is about, oh my God, we're facing Stamkos, Point, Hedman, and the best goalie in the world in Vasilevsky.
But it's
that's enough to throw you off.
But it's also how you feel about the Leafs. It's that too. It's that they haven't, but the thing with teams that haven't broke through is that you don't until you do. And Tampa Bay was this team. Tampa Bay lost in 4 games after winning the President's Trophy. And the next year, Vasilevsky's a choker. The team's too concerned about flashy play and passing the puck around and all that. And then they get through. So it's not to say that you can't, but there is a feeling of dread and doom, I think, and pressure. That's what pressure feels like. So who has the most pressure on them? Is it people in the front office, people on the ice? Who do you see as facing the most pressure to have success in the playoffs?
Yeah, for me, that would be a management thing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell
Kyle
you
specifically.
I can't tell you definitively that I believe that if the Leafs do not advance, that this would cost Sheldon or Kyle their jobs. I'm not there, and I don't even think they're there. My first thought is that even if they do lose, that Brendan will want to protect Kyle and Sheldon.
Think so.
Yes.
Unless they get swept.
No, unless the outside pressure, i.e. the fans, i.e. the media, it gets so overwhelming that he feels like he's going to have to.
Yeah. Well, I think, too, Shanahan, and this speaks to your point, made his choice with Kyle over Lou, and that divided the fan base. Either way he did it, it was going to divide the fan base. And so there must be some loyalty to that decision, right? To see it through and have success with it and ultimately be vindicated. You're not guaranteed to be vindicated, but it does buy Kyle a little bit more grace.
The easy answer here, boys, is Jack Campbell, if you're talking about players. Because not only pressure on the most important position, arguably, in playoff hockey, but the personal pressure of a contract. Like, you think about
And no backup, no
and
safety net.
no guy that they're going to throw in there. Like, even if he has a couple bad games in the first 2 games, they're not going game 3 Shalgren. Like, he's the guy, right?
You're
So the personal pressure of the lack of contract and heading in and basically having it all to play for, plus being the most important position on the most popular hockey team on earth in their biggest playoff series ever.
Insane to
Is that
have
any
this
pressure?
conversation and mention 3 names that aren't Marner and Matthews after last year.
I don't see overwhelming pressure on the players.
Marner and Matthews, 1 goal in 7 games against the Canadians.
But what does it mean ultimately? Like
To their
enough
legacy.
enough where you
Someone can get traded.
erase a 100-point season and a 60-goal season, and they're crap, and we got to get rid of them. Kind of pressure? No.
No, but crap where we cannot bring back the same core.
Yeah, but that isn't on them. That's
But
on
it will be
management.
on them. Sure, but it will fall on them if they get traded. If Mitch Marner's playing for Nashville next year, that probably would affect his day.
Or he's the happiest guy in the world.
Maybe he
because
loves country
he's
music.
just tired of getting blamed,
Maybe you're right.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that these guys have proven that they're great players,
Yes.
and
You're right.
nothing should change between now and even a first-round loss. They will stay great players.
No doubt.
And maybe a move to Nashville for Mitch will be welcomed after 6 or 7 years of feeling underappreciated or overshadowed or, kicked in the teeth by a fan base who from day one said I was overpaid, which he just shoved it right down their throats all season long.
Maybe. But the success he has in this round could affect whether that happens or not.
But the players ultimately can turn around and say, at the end of the day, you guys didn't build us a team that could play against Tampa Bay and be physical enough to withstand the pressure on us.
But my pushback here is like, if you're Austin Matthews, you're not competing against people saying that you're good. That's not the point. Or people saying that you're whatever. He's competing. His legacy is like Hall of Famer. This is a guy who's trying to win cups to be considered among the best in the history of the game. Yeah. If he goes out there and scores once in 7 games in consecutive series as the guy who's leading the team, huge pressure. Talked about in a totally different way.
But if he's able to do that at age 25, 26, or 27, no one's going to care that you failed at age 23 or 24.
You've seen LeBron James do that. You've seen a lot of guys in their later years have the success that vindicates some early failures.
And all that was just a nice learning experience.
Right. Yeah, but eventually it's got to happen, and you only get so many kicks at the can. It's a lot of pressure in this market, I think, to be the guy, the 60-goal scorer.
Let's welcome in Luke Fox, Leaf writer for Sportsnet. Luke, before we get into the nuts and bolts of practice today, I want to hear from you, man. Who's got the most pressure, management or the players on the ice starting game 1?
Management, but there's a heck of a lot of pressure on the players, too. I mean, it goes all around. Jack Campbell, my goodness, he's under a lot of pressure. Mitch Marner, after the way last season's playoffs, although the way he's playing right now, he looks like he's ready to handle it. But if I have to choose between the two, I got to say management, because Kyle Dubas basically has had chances to reimagine how this roster looks, and he's doubled down and he's tripled down and he's stayed with his core, even when the pandemic kind of threw his payroll out of whack. And it made it more difficult to pinch pennies on the fringes of the roster and basically eliminate a pretty nice middle class of forwards. Like, you think of the guys that he's decided to part with in Connor Brown and Kasperi Kapanen and Johnson, and continually had to kind of, tighten the wallet and dig and take flyers on guys like Andre Kasha, who knows if he's going to be ready. Have a nice find like Michael Bunting. And all these moves are because he's stuck steadfast to that core. And if it doesn't work again, like, we're talking about another first-round exit, and that's no easy opponent. I think the pressure comes right from the top this time.
Yeah, the players on the ice are in an interesting spot. It seems like there's been a bunch of injuries, bunch of people trying to get back and healthy and in time. Jake Muzzin, one of those guys, going to make a return. Who do you expect to see before the end of the season? I know, as we mentioned, Muzz getting in. Is Sandin going to play? Kasha, Bunting? Well, what are your expectations?
I'd be shocked with Kasha just because they're being so cautious with him, and he's hardly practiced with the team at all. They are really kind of using kid gloves around him. A valuable player, though. It would be, and his fearlessness and the stuff he does on the ice, I think, would lend well to the postseason. Rasmus Sandin, I would expect him to play in that finale Friday against the Boston Bruins. I think maybe he'd even be ready for tonight. It's just the fact that team was traveling and he wasn't traveling, and they've hardly got any full practices. He's just participated in a couple morning skates. So I think with a few days off between the Detroit and Boston game, they'll get him in some practices, and I would expect him to get in that game, which will be an important game because he's been so off for so long with that knee injury. And for a young guy, like, to get up to speed, I think getting in that game, even though hopefully that'll be essentially a meaningless game, I think it'll be meaningful to him to get accustomed to the NHL pace. I don't know who else we're talking. Bunting isn't playing this week, but from what it sounded like from when he suffered the leg injury there, it sounds positive. The fact that they're not talking about he's out for a long time. Usually when Sheldon Keefe says that a guy's going to miss some time, it's been like 4 weeks, 6 weeks. So he could be available for round one, which is a huge bonus for the Leafs. Jake Muzzin is a really interesting case. He's playing tonight, but I found it kind of curious that he went on that 3-game road trip and didn't play a single game. And there seems to be something off with him. And it's kind of been that way all season. But the fact that this is a new injury, they don't want to tell us what it is, but it's not concussion related. The mind wanders at what it could be because he plays such a hard game, and seeing him pull up lame in the Montreal series with the groin, you wonder if it's a wear and tear injury, and that wouldn't be good for him. So hopefully they get things sorted as best they can because playoffs could start in 6 days here. It could start Monday.
I'll throw this out to anybody that wants to take it. Get your thoughts as well, Luke, just in terms of Muzzin coming back, and how desperate would they be to get Muzzin in the lineup at what percentage? Would you take Muzzin at 70, 60, or are you, no, we're at the point now where if he's not 100% or 90 and looking normal, then we don't want him in the lineup and go back and pull a Sandin, get him back in the mix?
Yeah, well, they have more luxury, I think, now to make sure he's closer to 80, 90% than they had ever in the past. I think in past seasons they would have to play him at 50%, but they have that luxury now because they went out and got Mark Giordano, who's really helped out. So I think it's afforded them a little bit more of a luxury. But if Jake Muzzin comes to you and says, "I want to play," and the medical staff, they ask the medical staff, "Is he okay to play?" and they say yes, he's going in. Like Sheldon Keefe has said, there's 4 guys that we're not taking out if they're ready to go. And that's Riley, Brody, Muzzin, and Giordano. And then it's, if everyone's healthy, you got to fight for those other 2 spots.
Yeah, that's going to be a fascinating storyline to watch because if with Muzzin in, there's some real decisions to make between Liljegren and Lyubushkin.
Hall's not in tonight.
Hall's not in tonight.
Who's got the upper hand, Liljegren or Hall? JB?
No. I want to know from Luke too. I don't know.
Okay.
I'd say Hall, but right now, just because he does some things, like he's really important to the penalty kill, but Liljegren's come on strong, and the chemistry that Liljegren has with Giordano is really quite something. Like that Washington game, they tried Giordano with Brody, who he's has the familiarity with from Calgary, but Giordano said that they were rusty together because he had gotten used to targeting Liljegren's right shot and Brody's a left shot. So they haven't had that many reps together, those guys, recently. And Liljegren and Gio had some quick chemistry. I think the edge goes to Hall, but what you might find is it depends on how game one goes. Like that's the luxury they have now, is they might need to adjust on the fly. Like just because the 6 you see in game one might not be the 6 you see in game two.
The rest of this group here, like looking at the lineup, is there any chance we see like a super line like Nylander, Matthews, and Marner? They've used them a little bit more in the recent going here. Do you get the sense that the coaching staff likes that group? I mean, obviously, I like it. I guess how it affects the rest of the group, I should say.
Yeah, I would say they don't prefer it.
Yeah.
But if they're trailing, or when you guys watch the games, like sometimes if it's right before a buzzer or coming right out of a TV timeout or right after they've killed a penalty, they do that as kind of like a little bump up shift and have a little power line for quick spurts, and that's also a way to kind of get a few more minutes out of Nylander, especially if he's playing on that third line, which he has been for a while now. But ultimately, you want to spread it out a little bit more, especially if going against Tampa, right, that are going to come at you in waves. If you put them all on one line, that just gives them their top pairing, which is, just deadly. You want Hedman always going against your best guys. No, I think you want to spread it out a little bit more, but be selective and pick your spots where you promote William Nylander up there and give him a look.
You think Matthew Nyes is watching tonight? Nick Robertson going, look at that guy playing in my spot.
Yeah, or Nick or Abruzzese getting the top line call at the beginning of the Washington game. It's like, yeah, that could have been him. Good on Robertson. The fact that he's getting another crack here. To be honest, Nick, like I came away with that little look he had before the trade deadline, thinking that he needed more time to groom. Heck of a player, heck of a shot. I think he's going to turn into something, and I think people need to realize that his brother didn't peak till a few years from where Nick is now. So be a little bit more patient with this guy. Hopefully he can grow a little bit, bulk up a little bit. But since he's got a few more weeks here with the Marlies, he's over a point a game. He's pumping in goals. They have him trying him on the penalty kill, like trying to push him into more of a two-way forward, because coming out of the OHL, he was just this power play monster, right? And they're pretty good on the power play. They're kind of set there. So they want to round out his game a little bit more. Great opportunity for the kid, though, in these two games, and let's see. But, yeah, that's a heck of a choice by Matt Nyes to not jump on a Stanley Cup, dreaming team and stay in school.
Last personnel question for me is just, does Peter Mrazek still exist?
You know what?
Robota Island?
I was wondering about that. He had not been seen by any reporters, but Sheldon Keefe revealed this morning that he's had 4 or 5 days here on the ice at the training facility. So while the team was traveling, he was working out. So
are you sure that wasn't a clip from Sheldon in November or January?
Yeah, I'm skeptical. Like 3 groin injuries in 1 year, like, and the way Shalgren played in Washington, like, hey, I don't know if you rush this guy back. I don't know if we see him again. But it is good that at least he's back on the ice. All
right, Luke. Enjoy the rest of the night and the game. Thanks for joining us, Luke Fox.
Okay. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, care,
buddy.
guys.
There's no question if Matthew Nyes would have signed, he would have been starting tonight with Matthews and Marner.
Yeah.
Right? And not to beat it, but
I'll do that if you want.
It speaks, and not just to the Leafs, but I think we can do this for any lineup, is depth is a hard thing now to win championships with. You are at the mercy of what you basically see on paper. And if a few guys go down, i.e. Bunting and Muzzin, man, that changes the whole dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
If war of attrition here, who could stay healthy, who can live through and play hard and be successful at 60 or 70%, who bails at 60 or 70%. This is as much about winning a Stanley Cup as anything, including your talent level.
You know, I really thought one of the most wonderful things about the Toronto Raptors turning this thing around is Scotty Barnes coming back on a bad ankle, down 3-0. You know,
Kid is unbelievable.
But you know,
Bobby Bond, broken leg, back.
But down 3-0, it's easy to be like, you know what? Why am I going to risk it for this game? We're going to get swept. I have the whole summer to recoup. Why make it worse? And he tries to come back and play. And not to be that guy here, but Ben Simmons didn't exactly do that.
No.
I don't want to get into the whole thing, but he didn't do it for his team down 3-0. Scotty Barnes did. My question then, Kyper, is like, you know, did you miss many games? Pete, you can play through stuff, right? Like there's a real thing. And I think it's going to be interesting for this Leafs team is, you know, is Bunting going to be able to do it? And should he come back, you know, trying to do that calculation, is 62% good enough to play? 71?
Yeah.
I didn't miss a game for 10 years.
The Leafs have been good and they've battled and they've got points on the road, but a healthy Kasha would just take them to another level in the playoffs.
Totally changes things.
It is a layer of depth.
Yeah, depth.
Their PK misses him too.
They need him in a perfect world. And it just, look at his history. Look at what he's gone through. Look what he's going through now.
You can't ask him
How
to
can
play.
you ask him to play every other night?
How can you ask him to play? Period.
Or play at all?
And against a rugged team that like he hasn't played and they're red hot and it's just a
Like talk about you'd be watching him like this.
every
I
shift
mean,
you'd be terrified. So
but you want him out there, and I'm sure he wants to be out there and show he can play. And it's just
Even if we look back at the Raptors, like I don't follow them, religiously, but did I learn a little bit about a basketball player last night named Precious?
yeah, you did.
Okay,
Yeah, man,
I didn't know Precious before. I'm like, okay, how did we treat Joel after Game 3?
oh, like he's a king.
Unbeatable.
Yeah.
Can't be stopped.
Mhm.
This guy's killing us. And now,
Yeah, Precious took it to him.
Do you guys want to know Precious's siblings' names?
He's very much so.
Okay. God's gift, Achua. Promise, Achua. Grace, Achua. God's will, Achua. And peace, Achua.
Did you tell people your name is God for short? What do you?
those are pretty cool.
Oh my God! Imagine walking over like, "Hey, what's your
Hello,
name?"
I'm God's gift.
I'm God's gift.
Formally, it's Mr. Gift.
Incredible. Just want to make sure I got that in there. And he, like, I swear to God, the Raptors could develop me into Kevin Love. Like this guy couldn't catch a ball before he got here, and then he's taking
Yeah,
Joel
you get a couple
Embiid into the
threes.
post. He's handling the ball. Anyways, yeah, I agree with you about the injury stuff, because at what point are you at that you're willing to push through it and you're going to be contributing positively to your team? And it's a hard
Muzzin's making that.
it's a hard balance. It
running
really
that
is.
equation, yeah. It's hard.
And you hope that there's going to be a real unsung hero, because there always is. And
Oh, that's a
Precious last night could be the guy that we talk about in a historic fashion, coming back from a 3-0 deficit for the Raptors. And you hope that there's someone on the Leaf roster. And hey,
Asha,
listen,
Kempf, Engvall, one
no,
of those guys.
who it could be Nick Robertson. Just score a couple of goals.
Could be.
Because you're pressed in, because you're forced to use him. And the next thing you know, he's
He
got
can shoot it in the net.
he's got a moment
He
with
gets a
his
look.
shot, and he gets a look.
Ping.
And it's like, okay, the guy that you completely wrote off that said wasn't ready, all of a sudden has 2 goals, and he's
That's the difference.
Yeah.
flying high.
Yep.
Right?
Interesting time to give him a look. Couple of games here just to see.
Hey, listen, you're rolling the dice, but
Yeah,
every team is this time of year.
you're right.
All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, Jesse Granger, he's going to talk a little Golden Knights. Let's see if the Knights are still considered God's gift to hockey. What do you think?
They are not.
Real Kyper and Bourne right back after these messages.
This is Real Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
We're on. Come on, Sammy.
First time we've had 5-minute breaks this year. Sorry, I got to remind you.
All right, let's welcome in Jesse Granger, Golden Knights coverage for The Athletic, NHL Network, Vegas correspondent. Jesse, thanks for joining us. And if I would have asked you at the beginning of the year, give me odds, Jesse, of the Golden Knights being in a predicament where they needed the last game or two to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it would not have been very high. I mean, this team not only have they made the playoffs 4 years in a row, but they've coasted into the playoffs all 4 of those seasons. I was kind of saying over the last couple of weeks, it was fun to cover a push for the playoffs because for the last 4 years, the last month of the season has basically been meaningless. They've been kind of just meaningless games. They're at the top of the division. They're well inside the playoff picture. We're just waiting for the playoffs to start. So, this season has been full of new experiences for this team.
Yeah, it's been new experiences, and it's been new as a hockey fan following along with Vegas. The soap opera has been real this year. What's the update on Robin Lehner? Sounds like he's out for the season. How did we get here?
Yeah, so he is out for the season. He's set to undergo shoulder surgery. I'm not sure when that surgery will happen, but he's not with the team in Dallas. He won't be at these last 3 games, so he's definitely shut down for the year. It's been an interesting weekend, I guess last 4 or 5 days. Robin Lehner was playing with 2 very serious injuries, the shoulder injury and a serious leg injury as well. And he had been playing on those for quite a while. And to be honest with you, just watching him on the ice, he didn't look even remotely close to the goalie that I know he can be and the goalie that he was when he first came to Vegas. He just wasn't moving, especially when he was down in the butterfly. He just did not have any movement down there. And a guy that made his career playing angles, being in the right spot, being a blocking goalie that takes away the net and lets the puck hit him in the chest, and all of a sudden he's reaching for everything. It was pretty clear that he wasn't healthy. Pete DeBoer laid the blame at his feet in the loss to New Jersey last week, and then played him against Washington, and then pulled him after the first period and told everyone he was healthy. And I think Robin was trying to play through those injuries. It wasn't working. He wasn't playing at his best. And when you're not playing at your best and your coach is kind of laying the blame on you and telling everyone you're healthy, it's easy to see how you can get frustrated. So after trying to play through those injuries, Robin finally decided the best thing was just to shut it down and get the surgery that he's needed for a while. Part of the drama of this week was the Golden Knights kind of denied that initially, and it was because they needed him to back up Logan Thompson in the game on Sunday against the Sharks. As to why, I'm still nailing that down. I was kind of hoping to have it nailed down before I came on with you guys, but I do have a story coming out here, hopefully in the next couple hours, that will explain it a little deeper. But it is believed to be salary cap related, which is not surprising considering all the gymnastics the Golden Knights have gone through this season.
So we are down to a hockey club asking a player who is unhealthy or injured to still play. Is this where the split is between Robin and management? Is that basically what we're looking at? Is a team asking a player hurt to continue to play and a player saying no?
I think to be honest, I think it's more complex than that. I think there's some intricacies there because it wasn't long ago in March that Frank Saravalli reported that Robin Lehner had a broken kneecap, and Lehner sought me out in the press box. He came and found me and told me, and then like he did some lunges and showed me. He said, "Look, I don't have a broken kneecap. I'm not done for the year. I am going to play." I know Lehner made it known that he wanted it to be known he wasn't out for the season. So this isn't a player who suffered an injury and said, "Man, I don't know if I can go," and the team told him, "No, we need you. You have to play." Robin has wanted to play through these injuries, and In terms of the game the other night where he backed up, I do think it's a messy situation. A guy who decides he wants surgery and the team says, no, we need you to back up one more game. But at the same time, I do think it's important to note that, like, Leonard had played 9 games with this injury, and he had played a game just earlier that week with this injury. So it's not as if the team was asking him to, like, it wasn't a fresh injury and the team said, look, I know you're hurt. You can't go out there. We're going to need you to back up this game. If Leonard needed to go in that game, he could have. He had been playing on this same injury with the same severity for quite a while. So, yes, it's messy, but I also think there's some intricacies to this. It's not quite black and white.
Well, the new injury seems to be the emotional one that came from his coach saying he's healthy when he's not, which kind of exposes him, and then pulling him after giving up just 1 goal. Could those guys both be back together next year? Is the relationship between DeBoer and Leonard salvageable?
I don't know. As of right now, it doesn't seem that way. They're clearly at odds. Pete was asked this morning about Leonard. This is the first time this morning in Dallas. It was the first time Pete has spoken since the team announced Leonard would have the surgery. And Pete said the statement speaks for itself. I'm worried about the 20 guys who are here battling with me, which is not what you would expect from a coach at all. You'd expect him to say, we're hoping Leonard's surgery goes well. He's going to be a big part of this team moving forward, something like that. So, and I kind of contrasted it with, I use Mark Stone as another example, because Mark Stone is another, like Robin Leonard, very talented player who is clearly playing through injuries and is not playing well. Mark Stone, since returning, has 0 points in 6 games, and that's obviously very unlike him. It's pretty easy to see why. When Pete was asked about Mark Stone the other day, he said, you know what, there's not much not to like. He's our captain. He's playing through. We know it's tough to jump back from injury this time of year where everyone's at game speed. That's the way a coach normally answers a question like that. Meanwhile, when he's asked about Robin Leonard, he says he's healthy, he's fresh, he's got full of energy. I really don't understand what Pete DeBoer has to gain to say that Robin Leonard is healthy while watching his starting goalie struggle, and it's clearly because of injuries. I personally don't know. Now, can it be salvaged? This is hockey. There's disagreements all the time. You guys, I mean, it happens on every team. Could they salvage it? Absolutely. Right now, it doesn't seem likely.
Does that not really fall on how their owner, Wild Bill Foley, takes all of this in? When you think about this hockey club from day one, their first season should have been this season, and it should have been the other way around.
Benjamin Button franchise. They're going backwards.
Now it's a tremendous disappointment for him, who had Stanley Cup aspirations. Can everybody just fall under the, we battled the injuries, look at our men down here, and we'll be better for it next season? Could that just be easily done and said, or somebody's job is on the line here?
Yeah, it's tough to answer because of, like you said, if the Golden Knights had this season and missed the playoffs, which it looks like in all likelihood, 95% chance, I think right now is what the Athletic has it at, if they're going to miss the playoffs. If that had happened with no injuries, it'd be pretty clear that there's going to be jobs on the line. The fact that there were so many injuries, and you can't really tell how much of this season's failures are because of the injuries, how much of it is because the team didn't play well even when they have been healthy here down the stretch. Healthier, I guess. They still have quite a few guys out. But the other thing is this team has a salary cap, a salary hit of $92 million. That's more than $10 million over the $81.5 million ceiling. So we don't even know what this team would look like if they were fully healthy, because they'd have to get rid of quite a few of these players, right, or one big player. So it's hard to say, well, if the Golden Knights were healthy, they would have made the playoffs. They would have been great. We don't even know what that team looks like. And we don't know what that team's going to look like next year, because clearly you're not going to enter next year with $92 million. So you've got to do some movement this summer, which they've had to do the last couple off seasons. So it's going to be interesting. What I do know is Bill Foley is very aggressive as an owner. He is not – I would not describe him as patient. He wants to win, and he wants to win now. And I think if you look at the firing of Gerard Gallant, if you look at some of the moves they've made over the last couple of years, it shows you that they will not sit on their hands and just hope that the team gets better. They have made big moves every offseason. So if this team doesn't make the playoffs, my gut tells me there will be a move of some kind. It's up to Bill Foley to determine, is the front office more to blame here? Is it Pete DeBoer? Is it just the players not showing up? It's going to be a tough decision for Bill, but I do think that if this team misses the playoffs, the most likely outcome is there is some kind of move made by Foley.
Has Jack Eichel lived up to expectations?
You know what? It's tough to. I have a hard time crushing Jack Eichel right now. He wasn't very good against San Jose. He was out pretty much every time he was on the ice. The Golden Knights were stuck in their own zone. His underlying metrics in that game were awful, like unbelievably awful. Like I had to double check to make sure that number was actually right. Yeah. But at the same time, he leads the Golden Knights in goals since he was activated. And this is a guy who's coming off of an 11-month absence, coming off of a neck surgery, and just that on its own is hard to come back from. Plus, you had the fact that for the first time in his life, he's playing on a different team in a different organization. I watched Alex Pietrangelo, a veteran who knows this league and has won in this league. I watched him come to Vegas, and he struggled to integrate into this system. Though his first regular season in Vegas, Golden Knights fans were worried about that contract. It took him some time to adjust. Then the playoffs rolled around. He looked great. He was the best player on the ice in that series against Colorado. Max Pacioretty had a similar kind of timeline when he came to Vegas. He struggled right off the bat. I do think these players need an adjustment period. So Eichel's going through that adjustment, plus he's coming off surgery, plus he hadn't played in 11 months, and he still leads the team in goals. So I don't think Eichel's been the superstar that the Golden Knights hoped they were getting, but I also think expecting that right away is not really fair. It's also, you have to take into account, he's played with a million different players in the small time he's been here because they're constantly going in and out of the lineup and rotating lines. So no, Eichel hasn't been as good as you'd want him to be, but I think there are plenty of reasons. And I think you take what you get and then you say, okay, with a full off season, with hopefully a healthy Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty, next year is the year that he absolutely needs to be the superstar that they hoped. And if not, then you can start questioning him, in my opinion.
We're joined with Jesse Granger, Golden Knights coverage for The Athletic. I'm with you, Jesse. Time is on Eichel's side. But when it's all said and done here, injuries aside, cap implications aside, if I go full circle here on the goaltending, will this come back and rear its ugly head on the debate of choosing Robin Lehner over Marc-Andre Fleury? If the Minnesota Wild go on and Fleury's a part of that, I mean, what does that do for the fan base when they revisit this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say they'll be more upset, but I don't know if they can be more upset than they already are. They're already there. I think I've kind of been saying this from day one, from the moment they traded for Robin Lehner. It seems like the way they've handled the goaltending has been a mistake. It seems I can't go any other way than this has been a mistake. I think the thought of trading for Robin Lehner from Chicago, I think it made a lot of sense. It's a goalie who has shown really good numbers. He's been consistent. He's not getting a chance because maybe some GMs are worried about some other issues, and you can get him for less than market value. You can get him at a decent contract. I think there were a lot of teams out there that probably should have taken a chance on Robin Lehner. Just not the team with Marc-Andre Fleury. The Golden Knights weren't in a position where they were searching for a goalie and they couldn't find one. They had the guy, the franchise, the face of the franchise, the anchor of the locker room, the best teammate in the NHL. They had him. And it just seemed like this team should not have been the one to take a chance on Robin Lehner. I think Robin Lehner is a great starting goalie. I just don't know if he's as good as Marc-Andre Fleury, and it's kind of bared out that way.
So tonight, Vegas gets Dallas, huge game, obviously season on the line. How do things stack up for this Golden Knights team? You like their chances of getting by and giving themselves a chance?
Man, it's tough to tell. They've been so up and down lately. They just have had no consistency. They've had games where they looked great. They smoked Calgary up in Alberta, something that they've struggled to do just not that long ago. They beat a really good Florida Panthers team, but they've also lost to New Jersey and San Jose in the last week. So This team is very inconsistent. I think the first goal matters for the Golden Knights. I mean, the first goal is important in hockey every game, but I think for the Golden Knights it matters even more. This team really struggles when they're playing from behind. The other team can sit back, not make mistakes, build a shell around their net. The Golden Knights really need turnovers and transition chances to score. And if they can get that first goal and they can make Dallas actually push for offense, I think the Golden Knights have a good chance of winning this game. If they let Dallas get an early lead and they let the Stars sit back and play solid defense and play safe and just chip the puck out of the zone, they're going to be in trouble.
All right, give us a score tonight, Jesse.
I'll go 3-2 Vegas, just guessing.
Love it.
So Vegas's last game is against...
They have a back-to-back after this with Chicago and St. Louis.
Oh, boy.
Still a lot
And
of
tough.
a big
And tough.
win. A big win tonight will leave a lot of meat still on the bone.
Yes, it will.
Well, we look forward to results as early as tonight to see if they can keep their season alive. Jesse, really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Jesse.
Jesse Granger, The Athletic,
He was
covers
great.
the Vegas Golden Knights.
What a squad to cover. Imagine being
that was
handed
awesome.
that.
Are they-
He was great.
Are they not still like, they're not back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, but the lineup still scares you. How can it not?
Well, I know there's still a world here where this team, they beat Dallas tonight. They get a lucky break on the way in.
Oh, that goaltending.
And Fitz Thompson's been good. Logan Thompson's been good.
14-9.
Never know. I mean, who they're looking to draw Colorado at that point.
9-17.
917 save percentage. He's been good for him. Go if it's Colorado. Camper poops his pants. Never know.
Yeah, maybe. I
It's
love
a
that
long
story.
shot.
I love that story about Lanner
I mean,
in the
it's,
press box.
yeah, Leonard goes up there and goes,
Look at
starts
the
doing
knee.
lunges. Look at my knee. I'm good. I can do lunges.
Hey, I'll jog 2 miles
Look-
if I have to prove anything to you. Let's
Look
go.
Look what I can do. All right, Stuart. And no, it's a weird.
There
move.
are some guys out there. They know exactly what's being said. And some guys don't give a crap, and others will be like, "No, I'm calling everybody I know to tell them that this isn't true."
Well, it's like Kevin Durant can't help himself in the NBA. He's all over, like he's tweeting stuff
Oh,
about
he's
Charles
just-
Barkley today, right? Like, as Barkley criticized him, I don't even really know the details.
He called
but-
him a ring chaser.
Yeah. So, you know, there's those guys. And I've been writing in hockey media for, I don't know, 12 years now. Well, sometimes I'll write about someone and I'll get a DM from that person who doesn't appreciate it. Some guys read this stuff, some guys don't at all. Some guys could care less what's being said about them, but there's guys who follow every little word.
Oh my God, I've never really had true confrontations over my broadcasting
That's
career.
incredible because
But there was-
you are
there was one-
abrasive at times.
There was one year where this is like just a few years after we won the Stanley Cup, and Wayne Gretzky announced his retirement in 1999. And I made a couple of comments that Neil Smith didn't do enough to help him out, and he's packing it in because basically Neil didn't go and make some trades that could get him excited. And Neil Smith called me at home, and we just had our firstborn, and like my mother-in-law's there, up from Florida, holding the baby. And I get into the biggest argument with Neil Smith, and he like F-bombs are flying now.
Couple MFers flying
And I
around.
look over my shoulder and I see my mother-in-law, and she's like, "Oh,
Her first
my
grandchild's gonna be raised by this monster."
But like, it was important that, you know, Neil, and we've had a history. I mean, we won a cup together, and it's like, oh my God, yeah. If I could go back and take a few things,
You
that
regret that
didn't
you
say.
were as
No,
Yeah,
no,
you
no,
should
no.
have said
I'm
more?
100. No, I'm just saying the way I handled it at the
Yeah.
time. But you want to hold your ground, and yet, you know, still respect someone's wishes to express themselves. But it got really ugly fast.
Yeah.
But some are and Neil's a sensitive guy. Like, you know, he still is today. You know, love him. We have a great relationship. We kind of chuckle a little bit about that story.
That's good.
But it's just highly competitive guys under at times it could feel very stressful.
Yeah.
And Robin, especially with his battles off the ice, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
all of it comes into play.
I always say to anyone who would question something that I would write or say or whatever, is that we're flying blind here in the media. Like, by and large, we have our people that we talk to here and there, but for the most part, we don't have access to all the information. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm happy to come back the next day and say, hey, I got this wrong or whatever. Just don't get much wrong, Kyper. That's all.
No. Well, you're never wrong.
No, right?
Not on this show, anyway.
They leave that to me.
Sammy and I.
Leave that
for
to
sure.
me.
Okay, we're going to take another break. We're not giving away Stanley Cup playoff tickets yet for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we will be, right, Sammy?
Yeah, we're giving you a chance to win Maple Leafs home playoff tickets on Real Kyper and Bourne, which is very exciting. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but the Leafs tickets are kind of expensive. And
how about
playoff
first round
games?
playoff tickets against Tampa Bay? Might have some
this
value.
Friday, be sure to be listening as we're giving away 2 pairs of tickets to the first Leafs playoffs games, 2 of them. All you got to do is be listening for the Leafs trivia question on the radio or on the Real Kyper and Bourne podcast, and then text the correct answer to 590-590. And 2 lucky winners will be chosen to head down to Scotiabank Arena and cheer on our Leafs.
Hold on. 2 lucky winners?
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 sets of tickets?
Yes. Winners will be contacted by Friday evening. We'll have more playoff tickets for you next week as well.
Wow.
All the details, head to sportsnet.ca/590. So, yeah, we're a pair of tickets to the Leafs' first 2 playoff games.
Wow.
Yowza!
That's kind of cool.
That's a big deal,
In the
boys.
meantime, can you work on Raptor Game 6 tickets for us?
I would love to go tomorrow night. Holy crap, is that building going to be hot or what?
Electric. Jurassic Park was wild last night.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool and only growing here. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. After when we return, Keith Walt Tkachuk, the richest NHL dad in history, will be joining us after the break.
Not my dad.
Definitely. You know how many souvlakis my dad would have to sell to equal those career earnings between the 3 of them?
I'd buy a couple, but I don't think I'd get them over the line.
With extra tzatziki. Okay, more Real Kyper and Bourne after the break.
Kyper and Bourne on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Our boy Sammy working on getting Keith Tkachuk on the line. Did you find him? All right. 1,200 games in the National Hockey League. Let's welcome in Keith Tkachuk. You know, Walt, I was saying prior to getting you on that if you sat back and did your career earnings and try to work out your kids' career earnings, you'd never leave the house. It would take you a really long time to do that.
It's funny you say that. I feel like I'm still spending money on them.
Have you explained to them they should be looking after you now?
Well, they're still on the Tkachuk family gift card. My wife will not let them pay for a dime when they're at home. I have to pay for everything. That's what parents do, I guess. So I guess I'll have to suck it up and keep doing that.
Nice. Now, explain to us how this works here, because you got two boys, obviously, two stars in the National Hockey League. How do you balance it out? Do you and your wife do an itinerary at the beginning of the year? Do you factor if one's making the playoffs or one's not? How does it work?
This has been the most crazy year of my life, our lives, I should say. Before the season, our daughter obviously went off to college and at UVA, University of Virginia. So with my schedule scouting, which is mostly weekends, I mean, we have been on the go like crazy from August 20th all the way through because, obviously with Canada, we didn't get a chance to see the boys very much, so we saw them a lot on the road. So we kind of divided and conquered to see one, Brady a couple times, Matthew a couple times on the road, my daughter. So it's been nuts. And it's just been, this last month has been the most hectic I've ever seen in my entire life. I barely have been in my house here in St. Louis. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs, though, with Matthew. So hopefully that's a long run.
Keith, with the boys, what age, if at all, does advice stop from you?
It never stops. It never stops, really. I talk to my boys pretty much every day. Like, if I wanted to send a text to Matthew right now, he'd respond on game day. Yeah. Brady wants nothing to do with responding to any text. So we usually talk after games or the next day. And I don't bother them. If they had a tough night, I get it. We've all been there, but they always want to talk. We love talking hockey. So I pretty much talk to them every day, except for game days, kind of let them do their thing.
Well, for Brady, he hasn't made the playoffs yet. Maybe he should be listening to you a little bit more often.
Yeah, okay. Well, I will say this. They're a tough division, and I'm very encouraged by their team moving forward. They're so young, and they've had so much against them this year. But, if I'm the Ottawa Senator fans, I'm happy because not happy that they are where they are, but the future is really good there, and they're going to be a team to reckon with in a few years. It just needs some time. But, it's tough. It's tough 4 years and not making the playoffs. They've been in rebuild, and but hopefully he gets some he had some experience watching the 2019 St. Louis Blues going through that playoff with the winning of the Stanley Cup. So hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There's not too many hockey people that would not agree with the future of not only Brady, but many of them in Ottawa. Now, you played 20 years, missed the playoffs a few times, just in terms of how you handled that early in your career, and obviously went on to 20 great years in the National Hockey League. But, in all seriousness, what do you say to Brady?
Well, it's tough. You get frustrated. I mean, it's difficult, when you see teams still playing, you get aggravated. You don't really want to watch. But at the end of the day, Brady's only 22, and hopefully he'll play a long time. And he's committed to the Ottawa Senators for 7 years, so he loves it there. He wouldn't have signed if he didn't believe in where the direction was going. So. You just got to live and learn. You got to keep trying to get better every day and do it, try to get better every single day during the summer. And I think he'll do that.
Keith, the St. Louis Blues are some sort of offensive juggernaut. What's changed that this team is suddenly, it's still Craig Berube, but man, they sure score a ton of goals now.
Well, when you have a coach like that, all you have to do is look behind and he'll play hard for him. He's such a great guy. He's obviously had a great career and he's a tough guy, but I think the number one thing is, look at Robert Thomas. He's 23 years old, has really taken a step this year, and obviously, Tarasenko, what he's done this year, and Buchnevich. And, you still have guys like Brayden Schenn who are heck of a players. David Perron, you have some experience, and Ryan O'Reilly, So things have been good. Things have been going in, and you get two goalies that are pushing each other. I like what I see, and, it's going to be a heck of a series against the Wild. Billy Guerin has done a great job, as well as Doug Armstrong. So both teams, are built for the playoffs, are built for a long run. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
That phrase, built for the playoffs. We've seen the skill level, Keith, change so much in favor of these young players, including your boys, just taking it to another level. I think of Matthew scoring like 30-foot goals between his legs, and you're like, Keith, we never saw that really, and yes, we loved watching Mario and Wayne, but now there just seems to be so many of them. Yet this time of year, we kind of resort a little bit to more old school hockey to be successful in the playoffs. For your boys, that type of play comes very naturally. Was that always the case growing up? Were you there to kind of poke the little cub a little bit along the way? Or is this the time of year, Keith, where we look at our players and go, hey, you either got it or you don't?
Well, you know what, and, built for playoffs, you can say that about Calgary right now. And I tell my boys, if you're not going to, generate much in the score sheet, you better do something to help out your team win. And whether it's being physical and taking some of the heat off some of your more skilled, guys who don't like the physical play, take some more off them. But, I think, if you can go out and battle in those tough areas, because, things get let go a little bit more, and you got to be willing to play in those tough areas and battle and get those ugly goals. I'm not going to lie to you, those goals that he did drove me nuts when he was younger, and now I'm kind of getting used to it because it's the new wave, and I think it's great for the game, but you're not going to score many of those in the playoffs, and you better be willing to pay the price and get those ugly goals, and that's why I know Matthew will be ready, and that Flames team is, one of those teams like Minnesota Wild and built for the playoffs and the St. Louis Blues. So big, strong, heavy, and willing to do whatever it takes to win. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly are. They're, probably Canada's favorite here, a great regular season. I guess the question with them is, like, they were good last year, too. Their roster was fairly similar, and I know their results weren't good, but the roster was the same. What's changed for them to go from a team that missed playoffs to a team that's one of the best league teams in the NHL?
You know what? I wish I could tell you. It was just a strange year because you look at the Canadian division was probably the weakest division out of them all. Now, I'm not saying the players are weak, but they probably had the most high-end players. It's just the depth was weak, and I don't know what happened. There was something not right, and I think having Darryl there for a full year, and, you guys know what Darryl, he doesn't care who you are. He keeps everybody on their toes, and it's showing. I mean, they're battling, and I love the way they played on the road this year, early in the year. Obviously, they had COVID, so things got a little messed up, but they're a team that, I don't know what happened last year. It's just I can't put my finger on it, but this year it's a totally different team, and I think getting a guy like Blake Coleman with his swagger and his pedigree winning, and, you still got guys like Toffoli, what a great ad that was, with his winning, Lewis. Luch is still obviously one with Boston Bruins, so – and obviously the goaltending has been great, but I don't know. I mean, Darryl probably just scares the league of these guys. Like, they're afraid of him. I know, I can see it. I've been up there. It's crazy. Like, he has them, prepared. There's no doubt about it.
I got to ask you, Keith, just in terms of Matthew's situation in Calgary, is it much like Brady's in Ottawa? He's happy. In a perfect world, he'd like to stick around for the majority of his career up there. I know there's a contract situation. And, oh, by the way, I love the way Matthew was negotiating in the summer for Brady. Did he actually get a percentage of his salary?
Yeah, I told Matthew to stay out of it. But, Newport and Craig deal. We don't need his commentary. But, Matthew's a pretty unique kid. He's very driven, and, he was obviously looking after his brother there, and I don't know what he was thinking there. But whatever, it's over.
I thought it was great.
In his situation. Yeah, well, I didn't think it was great there, but hey, but that's my kid. We treat our kids differently, I guess. But I don't know what's going to happen. I think the main focus for Matthew is he loves it there. He loves what they're doing this year, and that's all he's concerned about. Like I said before to somebody, he's grown there. They developed him, and he loves Johnny. I mean, they're tight. Guys like Lindy and all these guys are pretty close-knit group, Noah Hannafin, so they have something special going on, and I don't think they need any distractions worrying about something that's really out of their control right now. I mean, it's the Bradford Living and the Calgary Flames went all in at the deadline, and they want to win a Stanley Cup, and that's what it's all about right now. Nothing but personal agenda should matter right now.
And just when Daryl Sutter came on board,
and by the way, I love going up to Calgary to visit too.
Yes,
it's a great spot.
Yes, it is. That's never changed. That's for sure. But just Daryl Sutter, was there a thought that maybe, oh my gosh, does Daryl still have it? Is he too old school? Will he come in and will the players turn on him? I mean, there was that small window of doubt for a few people. And it's unbelievable the job that he's done.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what's going on. I mean, they're playing well, so obviously he's doing something well. And when you have a top line playing like they're playing, you're going to win a lot of hockey games. And obviously they're getting great goaltending. And some guys, like Tanev, Anderson, Hannafin, these guys have really, really, really played well this year on the blue line. And then you add some of the depth. You obviously want to get more scoring. I think that's why you brought Toffoli in to help out in that depth, and I think they got a lot of different ingredients that'll make them, play, give them a chance to, have a long playoff run. So that first line, that top line has been great. Daryl's been pushing the right button. So hopefully you don't know who you're playing yet. We'll have to wait and see. And then, I'm looking forward to it.
How does it make you feel as a parent when you see the physical element? Your kids getting in scraps or jawing at people. It'd be impossible for me. I have a 5-year-old kid. Impossible to imagine him getting in a fight in a public sphere now. How does it make you feel watching that?
Well, you don't want your kids fighting, but like the other night, I was looking forward to that game, Ottawa versus Montreal, after what was said and all the hype going into it, and I thought the boys from Ottawa stood up for their teammate, Tim Stutzel, who, by the way, is going to be an exceptional player in this league. Watching him, he's a different player than he was last year, and even at the second half of the year. And, there was something said that I don't think they liked, and I thought they stood up and pushed back and had a great win in front of, 15,000 Canadian fans in Ottawa.
Right.
But, they haven't seen that crowd a lot besides, when Montreal's in town or when Toronto's in town. So, I thought I was pumped for that. I was waiting for a little bit more, but I thought they did well standing up for being a young group. So, you don't like when your kids fight, but, Kipper, you have to do it once in a while. I think the game kind of still needs it, and I think it's good for the game. And I told my kids, you'll get more respect and you'll get more room if you do it at the right time. And I think they have.
Yeah, that's never been lost from one generation to the next. One more for me, Walt, and that's just the continuous growth of USA hockey. We all know what the gold medal did for you guys out of Lake Placid, and then my era to watch you, Mike Richter, Bill Guerin, Brian Leach, and now today watching your boys and one up here named Austin Matthews and what he's able to do as we anticipate still a 60-goal season, and just the overall growth of minor hockey, man. You've watched this, you've lived through it. What kind of shape is it really in?
Well, first of all, Austin Matthews has a great chance to win the MVP, the Hart Trophy this year. I just noticed a different player. When you score that many goals and you miss that many games, but it's not the goals. I'm watching him, how strong he is and how big he is. I don't think people give him credit for how big and strong he is. So I think you see a different Austin Matthews, and, he probably is the favorite to win the Hart, and he probably should be. And that's a kid who grew up in Arizona. The Coyotes moved there. He falls in love with the game, and that's where it is. And in fact, I was just watching the U18 USA team play Germany at Germany, and it was an incredible game. And you look at some of the players, how skilled they are. And you're not just getting the Massachusetts, the Minnesotas, and the Michigans. Now you're getting it from all across the United States. I think it's great for the game. I think Gary Bettman's done a great job of putting teams in different areas. You know, you look at the California, there's kids coming out of there, Texas, Missouri. I mean, Florida, you're getting kids, and you look at that team today, it was what a great showing. So I think USA has done a great job of promoting the game, and we're getting the best players, and it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully it'll continue to get better. And that national team development program has been, one of the reasons why my two boys are playing in the National Hockey League right now.
Well, it's been a lot of fun having you on the show, Walt. We really appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, the richest hockey father in NHL history, Keith Tkachuk.
Thanks, boy.
Thanks, man.
All right, pal.
I mean, hey, it's a good thing to get teased about.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go wipe my butt with money.
Well, and I tell you what, when I broke into the league, it was still predominantly a Canadian league.
Yeah.
Right? Ontario, Quebec, and the Western Hockey League. That's where your pros came out of.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started getting the sprinkle of the European, and there was always a sprinkle of college.
Yeah.
But then this core group came out. The Billy Guerins, the Brian Leaches, the Mike Richters, the Keith Tkachuk.
Great players.
The Jeremy
Roenick.
Roenick. And here our perception still was college kids, not as superior as us out of junior hockey.
Yeah.
And these guys were skilled, but they were tough.
Why were they all so tough? Like
Tough.
Roenick, tough. Guerin, tough.
Like-
Chuck, tough.
Like
over 2,000 pounds for Keith Tkachuk.
we don't fight in college. Yeah, I'll fight now.
Jeez.
And like Keith Tkachuk, man, it was built like a Coke machine.
Yeah,
Billy Guerin built like
he's
a Coke
listed-
machine. These
Okay.
guys are like, don't mess with them. They'll come at you. They ain't going away.
His last year, he's listed at 6'2", 231. Keith Tkachuk.
And man, just real great pros.
Yeah.
One of the first real sad memories for me as a hockey fan was when they beat Canada at the World Cup, and he like that
96.
Yeah. And I just I obviously remember things before then, but like a real heartbreak when I was like I was 8 years old and that happened, and that team that Canada had, it's just like how would anybody put a hockey team on ice that could come close to beating Canada?
And it was vicious.
I was gonna say an absolute grinder. Those guys were killing each other.
It'll never get to that level ever again because people, I think, would go to jail. I honestly believe that.
Yeah. Oh, I know. There are
would
some
be arrests.
There's some moments you look back at in NHL history and you're like, yeah, you might go to prison for that now. I mean, really, you can't. It's just assault on ice at some point.
Yeah.
He won a Rocket Richard Trophy, Tkachuk. I didn't know that. 98 points. He's too shy. Missed 6 games that year. So Matthew Tkachuk, the highest scoring Tkachuk in a single season.
No, Art Ross's points. You saying
Right.
goals?
Yeah, Rocket Richard. 52 goals.
Okay,
Led the league in
you
96,
said
97.
you said his points, but he
Oh,
had
did I?
50,
Okay.
52?
52 goals, won the Rocket Richard in 97.
Yeah.
I mean, what a career that
Shoot
guy
the
had.
puck. No, and he was Winnipeg.
Yep.
Yeah, he was considered the best left winger in the game.
To ever have a moment where you're considered the best at your position is pretty unbelievable. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think probably making $9.5 million back then.
Back then, you know what's crazy is I was just looking at Brady's contract. Brady makes 8.2 until 2028. What's Matthew going to earn off a 100-point season, 105-point season, physical edge, 20, whatever he is, 6?
It's not going to be any less than that.
I mean, this is a $10 million player, boys.
Yeah. Because he has not to the same level as Tom Wilson, obviously, where Tom Wilson will fight any guy in the league, hit anybody in the league. But he has that unicorn tendency where he has that gritty side to his game. He has that real nastiness. But he's like you said, he's almost a 100-point player. Like, he is a real unicorn that somebody is going to.
24.
Yeah. Like, he is going to make so much money.
24, 6'2", 202.
I don't think
currently
Calgary
has
can
100
afford him.
points.
Yeah.
No.
Or Johnny Hockey.
Yeah,
Pick one.
That's where the money, yeah.
And that's an easy choice
Not
for
a
me.
choice, yeah. It's Tkachuk all day. I'm a huge Tkachuk booster. Brady is one of my favorite players in the league. Like, if I'm starting a team, he's pretty, like, if we did it, you guys would be like, really already? Like, how early I would take him in a draft of NHL players.
I can't disagree.
He's everywhere. His limbs are everywhere. He's in the way. He's in your face. He's in the crease.
Pissing somebody
shoots
off.
in the net. He's in the box.
Punching somebody.
He's just, and you love that. That's the Raptors are built on guys like this.
A little bit of a stick.
Yeah. He's just no fear of anyone and can play it any way you want to play it.
And he's still fighting guys, but, like, there's going to be a point where nobody just, like, he'll stand in the front of the net and no one will go near him. Because they're just like, I don't want to deal with, like, when he gets bigger and stronger even, and he's not even that old. How old is he? 21?
22? I'm pulling it up as we speak.
No, he's
22.
20, just turned 22 or turning 23?
Brady turns 23 in September.
Yeah.
It's like he's just going to get
4 years.
212.
4 years.
Yeah.
That guy is going to be. If the Sens ever get good and he's the captain, he is not going to be beloved in Toronto. Let's just say that.
He's got 30 goals, 30 assists, 120 PIMs this year on the worst team.
He's going to be sour if Ottawa doesn't make the playoffs next year, though, because
bad news.
You don't want to be that guy.
No, it just got stuck. Bad news. Tampa's still there. Toronto's still there. Florida's still there. Boston's still there.
Yeah.
Buffalo's getting better. You know, like, I'm with everyone else that, like, Ottawa has some good young players. Okay. Well,
so does every other team.
Yeah, you know, the other teams, good players too.
I'm
Matthews is 24, going to win the Hart.
Just going back to asking Keith about this generation of American players, God, we need a best on best. Could there be any more hated players in Canada than the Tkachuk brothers playing against Canada on in USA? Those two guys would be
loathed and respected.
Public enemy or country enemy number one. Like,
it's funny too, like both playing in Canada as American guys, like central figures on
Matthews
Canadian teams.
Matthews too.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Just don't know how vicious it would get.
What do you got? Besser in Vancouver, another American leading the Canadian
It's
team?
a good question, Kipper. Like, it depends on
Demko?
It depends on the, I guess, team selection for Team Canada. But in a do-or-die game between Team Canada and USA and having Brady Tkachuk and Matt Tkachuk doing dumb things, there's no way there's not going to be a pushback. Like, it's going to get greasy, right? It had to. It would have to.
I don't know.
Who on Canada would do it? I don't know. It's a tough.
This is why it needs to happen, so the questions get answered.
Correct. We don't need to go too far down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
All right, what do you want to do? Take some questions.
No, let's do the goalies. We got clips on Mrazek, clips on Campbell. Let's let Sheldon guide the way here. Sheldon, take us away with.
Let's start with the missing man. Mrazek.
All right, where's Peter Mrazek?
Yeah,
back to the Leafs.
This is day 4 or 5 or something like that for him now. He's been at it for a good bit. I know he started
he's in a jumpsuit
before we went out on the road, so today is not new in that sense. So he's working his way back, and I don't have much of an update in terms of where he's at, in terms of full health or anything like that, but he's progressing well.
Is there a scenario where Peter Mrazek
did he say day 4, day 5?
He doesn't know.
Of what?
Day 4 or 5 or something like that?
Of what, though? What, day 5 of
being
what?
on the ice, not like eating salads.
This is Freddie Anderson playing out again. He's like, I don't know. Is he on the ice?
The difference is they wanted Freddie to play.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not trying to be harsh to Mrazek, but a little bit. You know, it's been a year here where you probably just got to wait for the summer and find it.
Sammy, pull up his numbers for the season. Like, what did he
Are we sure we want to do that?
What did it end up being?
I'll do it right now. I don't think we want to look at this.
$4 million worth of tending goal.
Did he get 10 games in?
Yeah.
He did. He did.
12?
He played 20 games.
Pushing it now.
20.
Ooh.
Oh, doesn't it feel
Excellent
it
record.
feels like a dozen.
Excellent record.
Well, because it kept every time he played, it felt like he was getting back from injury.
20 games.
He had 18 games started. 20 games he played, and he was 12-6 with a .334 goals against average and 8.888 save percentage.
Oh my God, that 888 is not good.
Nope.
And there's no possible way.
It's not good.
It's Brad May not good.
But there's no way that you could, even if he gets healthy, that you're going to pick him as a backup over Shalgren.
Oh, I don't know.
No way.
I don't know.
chance.
Well, no, I think
Scram beat it.
I think
Scram beat it on that one.
I think there's a chance they would, but I don't think they should. Like,
Who was the Scram beat it clip? That's good.
yeah, Scram beat it.
I like that.
That was Kyper, I think.
That's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Scram beat it.
I think
You don't owe them a thing.
I think there's a world where they're paying him $4 million. He's healthy. He has experience. He's been in the playoffs,
Yes.
and they say,
All logical until you talk about his groin.
"Well, what's Shalgren's save percentage on the year?
I don't know, buddy. You know
He
he's
gave
got.
up a touchdown converted with a 2-point."
I know he's got stronger groins
And
that may not disappear on me.
You just need him to I don't know.
and I think it's crazy to say this, but he has more. I talk about moral equity, but like Keefe definitely loves Shalgren way more than Rat. Like he would be.
That's less attributable to Shalgren
So
than
here, what do you
Mrazek.
think? What do you think Shalgren's numbers?
I think he just gave up 8 goals. It's probably an 888
He
too.
started 11 games, 7-4 with a 3.42 and an 8.86.
886. He's
So
worse.
he's worse.
He's worse.
Take out the 8 goals against Tampa Bay.
yeah.
Tell me what
Cherry
his
pick goals.
tell me what his numbers are.
Yeah,
Played in the game.
yeah.
I would have way more trust in Shelgren than I would Mrazek.
Completely agree.
I agree.
That's it. That's all.
3 for 3.
That's all. I
All right.
don't know. That guy can't. Every save, I would cringe thinking this is the one he's going to limp off the ice.
It's because he plays like a spider monkey chasing a laser pointer.
But I think
Hold on. I got a visual right now. Can you repeat that?
That would be a spider monkey chasing a laser pointer.
I don't even know what a spider
moose on
monkey is.
moose on roller skates. All right, Campbell. Or do you
Yeah.
wanna do
So
Campbell?
then we're 3 for 3. We're turning the page on Mrazek. Jack Campbell's going to play. Why don't we have Sheldon tell us about what's up with Jack Campbell?
We'll get through tonight and see and have a conversation with Jack based on how he's feeling. Make a determination from there. We think there is enough gap between the two that it's a possibility. It's not something I'm against. All I'm focused on is making sure Jack is feeling really good going into game one, and if he feels a little more action, not having such a long layoff is something that he would like, then we'll look at that. But if he feels set and good to go, then we'll give Eric the final game. But we'll get through tonight and see how it goes.
Which is smart.
How do you feel about players dictating whether they play or not? I feel fine in this case.
I'm okay. I'm okay with it. So let's play Jack Campbell scenarios.
I will not be able to watch a second of the Leafs game tonight. I'm
Okay.
panicking about him.
Comes in tonight and sees 17 shots, pitches a shutout.
Okay.
Not first star, but we'll give him second or third star. Does he play against Boston, or is that enough?
It's a good point. It does change the equation if he has a really great showing and is running hot, feeling good about himself.
So that's a first scenario. The second scenario, he sees 40 shots and he loses, 5-3.
Yeah.
Does it make you want to come back and say, hey, Jack, I don't know if you're going to feel great off of that when you want to try one more against Boston?
There's something for me that is like take some of the pressure off that it doesn't matter how it goes. He's going in. So it's not.
No, but that's not what Sheldon said. Sheldon said we want him feeling good. You cannot feel good if you give up 3
you
or
want
4.
him feeling good, but can you control that?
No, you can't.
You
You
just
can't. But what you can control,
not
is
putting him in if he's played
what
well.
you can control is a chance to do it again.
But you know how it feels for me if he makes 17 saves in a shutout and you don't put him in the next game. It feels
Stamp
like,
it and get on.
Yeah, exactly. It feels
Right?
like you're worried about him and you're faking it.
That's right.
Yeah, he's good.
It's like getting through the border. Don't even look in your rearview mirror. Keep going. You don't want those lights turning on.
100%. So there is an element for me where it's like you can't hide from it. You can't fake it. He needs to play. He needs to be good. He needs to be real. There's no faking it. This is not getting through the border. He's going to have to win 16 times in the playoffs.
We know how you felt, Sammy. You didn't
Yeah.
want him to play anything.
Nah, just sit at home.
Just
Call
be
up someone
In a
happy.
bubble. In bubble wrap.
Yeah, call someone up to sit on the bench. You might get hit with a puck.
You're right, though. Like, if you're Detroit, You're like, screw the Leafs.
Yeah,
You know, let's crash the
let's not even
crease
talk about
tonight,
this.
boys.
Please,
Like,
let's not
you
talk about
know,
this.
what would make them happier than the Leafs struggling?
Oh,
Boston, too.
This is where.
I don't play him against Boston. Boston is the one I definitely
How many
protect
kids
him
from
against.
Ontario on Detroit tonight?
Oh God.
Yeah, probably a dozen.
This is a signature game for them tonight. Don't think it's just the last few games of the regular season for Detroit. They
Yeah.
want to stick it to the Leafs tonight.
Yeah, everyone's watching. You're gonna get a good effort from Detroit tonight. Was it the last time they played? Was that the 7-6 game?
10-7?
10-7. Did
Yeah.
I underestimate that? Jeez.
10-7 or
Yeah.
10-8. Yeah, I think that was the last time they played.
Man.
So we have Robbie Fabry from Mississauga, Ontario. I don't know any status on any of these guys, so they may be out.
Isn't he hurt?
Yeah, maybe. So probably out. So no one. Jake
I'm not
Wallman.
paid to know about Detroit.
Jake Wallman. Haven't watched a ton of Detroit games. Jake Wallman, boys. That's our big
All right.
big one there.
Look out for Jake Wallman tonight. Heard it here first.
Yeah.
All right, what else have we got?
I got a great text from an unprompted text from our boy SJ in North York. Philadelphia was booed on their home floor last night, and it affected them. Do you guys have any concern about how it might go in Toronto in a big game?
No, I don't know.
Like waffles
Like,
on the ice?
I feel there's more shame from the fan base, the enduring fan base. At this point, it's on you. What's the old fool me once, shame on you, fool me
Yeah.
twice, shame on me? This is the fans that keep coming back are no longer eligible to be upset. You knew the deal.
I'm always been a big believer of not losing, but how you lose.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there are scenarios where you could feel a little better if they lose to Tampa Bay in the first round, but you got to see how it plays out and why you lost. You buying that?
Yeah, no, I think it matters, but
I don't like a game 7 in Toronto with a full barn. Let's just
you
say
don't
that.
like it?
No.
Why Montreal all over again?
It depends. So if the Leafs go down 3-2
Yeah.
and they go to Tampa and win game 6 to send it
To
back,
bring it home with
But
the
if
Mo?
but if the Leafs are up 3-2 and and it comes back, or it's just
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Leafs
just
have had
scares me.
chances to put away Montreal up 3-2, and Columbus, they were up 2-1 in the best of 5, were they not?
no, they tied it 2-1 to send it to game 5 in
They did.
Columbus.
Oh, that was the crazy
the like 2 goals
overtime
in,
goal?
Yeah, 2 goals in like 2 minutes to tie it in the last minute, and then Matthews scores in overtime to send it to game 5, and then they get
They
shut out.
pulled the goalie and they were down like 3 goals
They were
or
down
something.
3, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What a goofy game that was.
Yeah, the whole bubble. The asterisk cup for the
Super
Lightning
line.
on the first one. So I don't know. The Leafs have had series where they've won to go back to home to game, like they had the chance to put away Boston in game 6 after they won a big game 5 in Boston. They blew it on home ice. Like, the home ice thing and the fans and the way that they're kind of talk about this team is something that I think there's a parallel between the Philly fans and the Leaf fans when it comes
Yeah.
to the game.
Even if you beat Tampa Bay and like they're going to lose games to Tampa Bay.
Oh,
Like, like they're not sweeping the Lightning. So we're going to sit in this room after Tampa Bay has beat Toronto in a playoff game. And it's really hard because of the history to fairly assess what's going on, right? Like the history clouds everything. Trying to separate myself from that when I do analysis this year.
Yeah. So we assume there'll be a split after 2 games.
I'm not
Do you?
assuming anything. I honestly,
Yeah.
Are we ready for just like a random prediction from someone?
No, not yet.
No, I'm not ready. Haven't done.
no, I'm not ready.
I made mine on the drive in the car, so
And listen,
I'm holding on to it though.
I'm not tossing these last 2 games out the window here as throwaways. I still think that every time you step on the ice, that there's
Chance to get hurt? Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
a natural gauge on your competitive instincts, and I want to watch how they handle Detroit in a game that we know that they should win.
Typically, they'd sleep on this
right?
game.
And even Boston. I don't care who dresses. I don't care if Hosang gets called up and it's a throwaway. If you're there, might as well win, as they say.
You know how much money you would have to bet to win $100 on a Leafs win tonight? $476.
I was going to say $500.
Yeah, you have to bet about $500 to win 100. They are such heavy favorites tonight.
That is an awful bet.
Oh,
no one listening,
atrocious.
do not do that. Anyone.
Atrocious. Yeah, no, Detroit's plus 365. So
what's Matthews to score 2 or more tonight? Do you have it in front of you? Sorry, buddy.
Research for you.
I feel like tonight's got to be the night. If they
do we think 2 left? Think he gets 60? I know you've just made your call there. Matthews over 1.5 goals is plus 240 tonight.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised in 2 games if he can't muster up 2 goals.
You think you will?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And there will
it's
be.
It's kind of tonight.
And
or
I'll tell you another thing too.
That last one.
You watch. They may end up with 6, 7, 8 power plays in the next 2 games because these refs have no patience right now for any shenanigans.
How about I wonder if there's a world where they take care of Detroit tonight and then they just say, well, that's it. We're not playing our guys.
Yeah.
They lock up home ice. They lock up. Yeah. Say Matthews. Well, and that would be interesting if he was sitting on 59, if they would play him or not. I wonder if that's another case where it would come down
great
to
discussion
his.
For a show. Hopefully it happens.
We should have done that before 4:54.
We're out of time. We're tomorrow.
Yeah.
What about if it's you then? If you're Matthews and you're in 59, they say we're locked into home ice. We're playing Tampa Bay. Would you like to play in game 82 for a chance to get 60?
Gotta play.
I think he's been off already. Besides nursing the knee or whatever was bothering him, he's had his rest. I'm not interested in starting, and stopping again. I'm playing the last 2 games.
What if Mitchell's on 99 and the Leafs are going into game 82?
Mitch Marner with that Ferrari engine is the least of my worries.
You don't think last playoff series,
no,
the gas tank got a little dry?
That guy is consistent every game.
So you'd play him in 82. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is, whether you do it or not, but hopefully they just get a whack of points tonight and then they could dress the American League lineup.
I would love that. I would love that very much. Yeah, it's going to be tough for them to even sit anyone really.
Yeah, because they can't. Anyway, they can't
all right,
do that.
Give me a score, Sammy. Tonight, 6-2.
Wow. Yes. That was my pick. 6-2. Matthews 2 goals for 60. Marner gets 3 points for 100, and then everybody sits on Friday, and we're all a happy family.
There it is. So bet accordingly. Sammy has spoken.
I've been right once all year, so be careful.
That's it?
No one would know if you didn't tell him.
Our thanks to Keith Tkachuk, Luke Fox, and Jesse Granger. Thanks for joining us. Give us a rating and review if you get a chance. We're back tomorrow.